Knight's fiancé, Ron Calvin.
It's been hell. I cannot lie. I was totally shocked when she called me on June the 3rd. I was at the racetrack, and she told me she was in jail. I couldn't believe my ears. Of course, I have been by her side the whole time. I love this woman, and we're still going to get married. She wants to apologize once again to Catherine Zeta-Jones, Michael Douglas, and she wants them to forgive her and let her get back to her societal commitment, which is to go back to school and be a child psychologist.
Director Steven Spielberg has had 3 close encounters with stalkers. The most terrifying incident was when ex-convict Jonathan Norman was arrested after breaking into Spielberg's mansion.
The concerning part about it is he acted out on that plan. He made copious notes in a diary and a day planner as to what he was thinking and what his plan was to be. He got to Mr. Spielberg's residence on 2 separate occasions, was chased off by security guards on one occasion. Second occasion actually made entry into the rear yard when police were able to detain him.
When police searched Norman's car, they found handcuffs, duct tape, razor blades, and a folder containing pictures of the director and his family. Norman's defense was that his actions had been drug-induced. Rhonda Saunders, the Deputy District Attorney.
Even if he had taken some drugs, he was still able to function and he was still able to plan and to meditate. And this wasn't the type of case where you have some drug-crazed person tripping over a pair of handcuffs that he finds on the street and then being arrested on the spot. This is a crime that was planned over a period of many weeks. He did the research. He actually went out and purchased these items. The thought was there.
A police detective testified that Norman told him he was sexually obsessed with Spielberg and wanted to rape him. Norman's attorney, Charles Kreindler.
I can't guarantee anything, but what I think what the psychological reports say, and if you look at Mr. Norman's history, if he's not under a drug-induced psychosis, I don't think he's a harm to anyone. And frankly, I don't think he was any harm to Mr. Spielberg in this case. He looked at Mr. Spielberg as his god. He wanted to be his god's son.
Norman was sentenced to 25 years. Steve Wynn made a fortune in hotels and casinos in Las Vegas. His first major success, the Golden Nugget.
Steve Wynn was pursued by a man named Donald Phillips. Donald Phillips had an extensive criminal history. He was a man, when he did the stalking, in his mid to late 30s. And he believed that Steve Wynn, or at least said he believed, that Steve Wynn was his long-lost brother, and Steve Wynn needed to pay him $50 million to rectify the situation.
Wynn's private security attempted to handle the matter until an envelope was hand-delivered to Wynn's property. After making death threats, Phillips was caught by the FBI and charged with stalking.
I testified for the prosecution in the case, and my opinion was this man was not legally insane. He was not delusional concerning his belief that Steve Wynn owed him this money. In fact, he was a con man. The jury found Don Phillips to be legally sane, found him guilty of these various crimes, and Don Phillips was sentenced to life in prison.
The Oscars, the biggest event in the celebrity diary. With so much glamour and wealth on show, it's a stalker's paradise. Among so many clamoring faces, a dangerous fan can go unnoticed. Security has to be watertight.
Well, number one, we'll plan everything from the time that they start from their residence to wherever they're going to go for their makeup and dress, et cetera, et cetera. We go do a pre-planning stage at the location. We know where they're going to be, where they're going to sit, how they're going to go in, and how they're going to come out. They have a very tight and very good protective plan at the Oscars.
With an itinerary planned with military precision, the stars at the Oscars are relatively safe. After the event is a different matter.
And the after party, you know, that can be an extremely complex situation because of the people that are going to be at these after parties. They'll hold them in different places in Beverly Hills. So we have to know in advance where they're going to go, if they're going to go. And then one of the tricky things is they may change their mind and want to go to one that they didn't tell us about. So we already have to be ready for that.
Some of the world's most famous people try to live as normal a life as possible and choose to ignore strict security. One such was fashion icon Gianni Versace. In 1997, he was brutally murdered on his doorstep by serial killer Andrew Cunanan. The shocking execution and the ensuing manhunt around Miami was a stark reminder of the dangers celebrities face from stalkers. Cunanan's friend, Nicole Ramirez Murray.
Andrew went out after Versace for one reason and one reason alone, for the headlines. He's always wanted attention. He's always wanted to be somebody. He's always wanted people to focus on him. Well, now the world's focusing on Andrew.
According to Maureen Orth from Vanity Fair, Cunanan had encountered Versace before.
Cunanan went up to Versace, whom he had already bragged he knew, and Versace says, "Ah, I know you. Lago di Como," meaning Lake Como, where Versace lives. "Is that where I know you from?" Kind of, and Andrew just basked in the glory of having Versace recognize him from somewhere, sometime.
Criminologist Robert Ressler.
I think Versace typified what Cunanan really wanted to be. And with all that started going wrong in Cunanan's life, debts, interpersonal relationships breaking down, possibly even contacting the AIDS virus, I think it becomes then a matter of hell with you all. I'm going out in style. You'll remember my name.
Before the murder of Versace, Cunanan had already killed 4 people in a 12-day spree. Most of his victims were older gay men. It led to the 28-year-old drug dealer making the FBI's most wanted list. The FBI knew that Cunanan had a hit list. They thought Hollywood actor Sylvester Stallone might be the next victim. The Rambo star put his security on overtime as it took the FBI over a week to find Versace's killer.
Well, I was down there, and they said that he was down in Key West when we were opening the Planet Hollywood down there, and he was in the crowd, and he was asking bartenders and people about my whereabouts in Madonna's. And then they said he came back to Miami, and they felt as though after what happened to Gianni Versace, he may go on, he has everything all planned out. In one day, sweep everyone away. So there was a real red alert on that, and as we were speaking about it with the feds, no more than 400 yards away, 6 helicopters were circling, and that's exactly where they caught him, 400 yards away.
Really?
Yeah. No. I was on a golf course, so I thought, it's not a bad place to go.
Cunanan eventually committed suicide on a Miami houseboat to avoid capture by the police. His legacy lives on in the fears and anxieties of the rich and famous. The fact that killers like Cunanan can pick their victims randomly is the nightmare that most disturbs celebrities. As the stars look into the faces of their adoring fans, most of them know that among them is at least one delusional mind, secretly plotting and scheming to do them harm. It's a high price to pay for the occasional red carpet and your face in the tabloids.